on the new French government and can it deliver? We're talking to European politics specialist Carlos Uriarte Sánchez, joining us from Madrid. Welcome, Carlos. Thank you for joining us. For starters, Macron's fourth government in a year is another minority government, as centrist Bayrou did not build a broader base than the ousted Barnier. In your mind, can this cabinet deliver a budget and work around a very clearly divided parliament? Or could we expect the far right and the left to bring down this government as well?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that yes, I see that the situation in France is not stable in this moment, especially when we talk about the National Assembly and with these changes of prime ministers in so close time. I think that what President Macron tries is to organize a government with right center people, but what he doesn't want is to give the opportunity to the extreme right to take any advantage of that. In this regard, well, I think that the idea is good, but I'm not sure if this government with so weak majority is going to be able to be stable in a long time. I think that they will have still problems to approve the budget and to take political decisions because they are very weak, the majority in the National Assembly.
Well, on the left side of the spectrum, the Socialist Party leader said that this is not a government, but a provocation with the hard right in power under the watchful eye of the extreme right. Are Marine Le Pen and her party the kingmakers in France now? And do you see her supporting Bayrou?
I don't think so that Marine Le Pen is going to support Bayrou. And maybe it was also a mistake of Macron to don't integrate the Socialist Party in this government, because if what Macron wants is to don't give power to the extreme right or to the extreme left, and to work with the central parties to the mainstream traditional parties. Uh, Maybe it would be also a good idea to take into consideration the Socialist Party, which was a long traditional party in France as a part of this government. I would have done to integrate the Républicain plus the party of Macron, La République en Marche, plus also the socialists too. I mean, together, like in a so-called government of unity, face the extreme right and the extreme left for future elections too.
Well, as we previously mentioned, the French parliament is clearly divided into three strong blocs. Looking back at the summer snap elections now that ushered in this months-long political crisis, would you say that calling them was one of Macron's biggest mistakes? We even saw Le Pen just last week saying that she is getting ready for an early presidential election.
Well, I think that it was not a mistake because the extreme right couldn't take the majority of the National Assembly, but maybe in this regard, it was a victory, but not maybe the most important victory. And maybe what Macron has done is to win a little bit time, but the reality is that the important elections will be the next presidential elections. And we know that Macron is not going to be candidate anymore because in France it's not possible a third mandate. Then the party of Macron has big problem because there is not a leader after Macron. And additionally, the center right and the socialists, they are in crisis. then these presidential elections, they can't be a big challenge if all the parties, center right and center left, they are not together. To have a strong candidate face Marine Le Pen. Then the first parliamentary elections was a victory for Macron, but we will see what is going to happen in the next presidential elections. Then you have won now, but maybe you will not win in the important election in 2027,
Yeah, you
in the
highlight the
presidential election.
importance of these presidential elections, but do you see them happening before 2027?
Well, France is a semi-presidential system, and the presidents of the republic normally they have finished the mandate. I will think that Macron will try to finish the mandate as president and don't have early elections for presidential elections. Uh, Trying to have a better figures in economic, better also according in the sondage to a strength bloc face Marine Le Pen. If they would have early elections, presidential early elections, I will think that it would be a disaster for the old traditional parties and the center left and the center right parties. I think that it would be better to try to work for a good candidate face Marine Le Pen and don't have early presidential elections. And this is what I think that Macron will try. Win time, save time to don't have the elections so they can build any alternative bloc for France face Marine Le Pen.
Well, the
It would be
budget,
a
yeah.
mistake if they organize the early elections before 2027, in my opinion.
Well, the political turmoil in France is not the only thing on French people's minds. The new government includes two former prime ministers, Manuel Valls and Elisabeth Borne, with Valls being appointed Minister for Overseas Territories. What do you think of this specific appointment given the tragedy that struck Mayotte?
I think that to have in the government two former prime ministers is something that give to a government, of course, always experience. It's not so normal that two former prime ministers in any country they will join again to a government as just ministers because they were prime ministers before. It's very strange to find this situation. I think that what it wants to give is an image of unity in this government. And Manuel Valls and Elizabeth Borne, they are two politicians with a strong personality and also experience. Then I think it's positive. And taking into consideration the catastrophe in Mayotte, I think that it's good to have a former prime minister in charge of this issue, also to protect Macron, because we know that the visit of Macron was quite controversial when he went last week to Mayotte, some days after the catastrophe. And I think that he wanted to put a person who is Manuel Valls in the middle of him and the people. So a former prime minister, who is now minister of overseas, could take of this duty in Mayotte to try to find the best to find a solution against this not just catastrophic crisis but also political crisis, because the people from Mayotte was really very angry.
This new government may last or it may not, but how would you say does the current situation in France reflect on the bigger picture, on the European Union, be it economically or politically? This is, after all, the second largest economy of the bloc.
Well, this political crisis of France is not something new. France is the second biggest economy, but also in Germany they have also a political crisis. They will have every elections in Germany as well to choose to elect a new federal chancellor in February, at the beginning of February. In this regard, this crisis is not just a French crisis. We can find this crisis in other European countries, for instance, in Germany. Uh, well, this is something that is a situation that we can see nowadays in the European Union democracies, and even I could say to be more West European democracies, Spain, even. There is this instability in the governments, we could say, that was not before. But well, our systems are managing this situation, and of course, in the end, it's the decision of the citizens who take decisions and who vote in the elections. We are democratic systems, and we must accept that sometimes we have instability in our governments. This is something normal in democracies.